Good morning, fellow Toastmasters.
Good morning.
Everywhere we go today, there's an awesome and dependable technology that provides a guiding hand to get us from location A to location B. So you're asking yourself, what is this technology? Well, this technology was developed by the Department of Defense. It was initially called Navstar, what many of us would know as the Global Positioning System, or GPS. And GPS provides indispensable information to determine whether we're in a pelagic location or not. And it's permeated many areas of industry, and it touches many of our lives, even if we don't realize that it does. It's incorporated into applications like agriculture, aviation, marine, railroads, surveying, precision timing, defense systems, and a myriad of other applications. So given the prevalence of GPS, I thought today I would tell you a little bit about what GPS is and some of the major elements of the GPS system. So GPS was started in the late 70s by the Department of Defense, and by the mid-1980s it was open to civilian use, and many applications started to be developed once it was made available to the civilians for use. And those applications are continuing to grow in emergence, and by 1994, the full constellation of 24 satellites were available in space. So today we're going to cover three major topics of the GPS system. We'll talk about the space segment, the control segment, and the user segment. So let's get going with the space segment. The space segment involves satellites that orbit the Earth. And those satellites are about 12,000 miles above where you all are sitting today and I'm standing. And they orbit the Earth twice per day, going about 7,000 miles per hour. And each of those satellites are responsible for sending a signal down to Earth. And each one does that, and the signal is an ultra-high frequency signal. And that signal includes three pieces of information that is used for the GPS receiver down on Earth. It includes an ID of the satellite. It includes ephemeris data, which includes precision time and date information. And it includes almanac data, which tells where that satellite needs to be at a specific time. So each one of those satellites is sending that signal down to Earth. The next portion of the GPS system is the control segment. The control segment is, again, a three-piece system. It includes monitor stations, a master control station, and ground antennas. So these satellites are sending their signals down to Earth, and the system down on Earth is responsible for monitoring that system and making sure that it is providing good information to the users. So the monitor stations are receiving GPS information from all these different satellites, and these monitor stations are located throughout the world. They collect orbital information and time information off each satellite. That information is then sent to the master control station. And there's people in the master control stations with a lot of equipment that look at that information and make sure that that information is staying accurate, and if there's any kinds of updates that need to be made to that information. If they determine that there's updates that need to be made, they then make those corrections, and they use the ground antennas to send that information up to the specific satellites. So they could change the orbital position of that satellite. The actual satellites have thrusters on them, so they can move the satellite if they need to. And as well, the atomic clocks that are on the satellites, they can make adjustments if needed. So we have the space segment, the control segment. Now we have the user segment, which is what many of us, if we've used a GPS, are cognizant or used to using. And that is a receiver, for the most part. What it's doing is taking and acquiring those signals from space, and it helps with the processing and mathematics that has to go on with those signals to determine where I'm located on Earth. So if I have my receiver and I can lock onto at least 3 GPS satellites, I can generate a 2D position. A 2D position will provide me my specific latitude and longitude on Earth. So if I have that, I know where I have a map, I can plot my latitude and longitude, and that's then where I'm located. If I can get 4 satellites locked on, I can then generate a 3D position. The 3D position will provide me a latitude, a longitude, and as well an altitude of where I'm located. There's other pieces of information that you can get once you're locked onto the satellite, like speed, trip distances, bearings, distance to destinations. So we have this really clever system and we can find out where we're at. Then you can take electronic map data and you can plot that position on an electronic map. And then that provides very good navigational information for users. So to recap, the major elements of the GPS system include the space segment, the control segment, and the user segment. So in closing, the next time you're sitting at the stoplight, determining whether you need to turn right or left, look to the skies and then to your GPS for the answer.